business here and what it is that you do and excel at.
It's a loaded question. I like
Yeah.
that. Well, my name is Darcy Hardy. I run a theory of thought called LOS strategy, which is last one standing strategy. And I focus on rewilding myself and my community through hands-on application of skills, whether they be from crafting something as simple as a spoon to redeveloping an ecosystem's natural ability to protect itself by removing obstacles, whether they be biological or inanimate, in the space. So almost like a stewardship. A lot of what we focus on through the LOS strategies is kind of a complex but simple system of adaptation. And the reason why this property means so much to me is because it's a place in which people can learn to reconnect and refine and rewild these parts of us that have been lost through this giant technological boom that we've seen in the last 100 years. And I'm sure, as you know, in doing so, we've lost a lot of these older skills and older traditions that our grand folks held onto and held very dear, that not only brought them joy, but also made their lives tremendously better over time. This property, to me, I see being of value to these skill sets, and being of value to having a community that can grow and train these skill sets so we can pass them on to future generations.
That was even more than I asked, but that's perfect. Okay, so you've worked within the Elemental Collective in some fashions. Can you describe a little bit of your involvement here?
Yeah, I've been invited a few times a number of times to help out with different events, like our Chautauqua event, our Wolf Pack groups, where we meet up and share different skill sets. I've been lucky enough to have had a lot of mentorship from all kinds of people from all over the place. And here's when I've been invited here for workshops or been invited here for different events, I've had a chance to share information pertaining to things like primitive skills, wild foods, wild medicine, shelter building, and even once in a while a little bit of martial arts. And I think that one of the things that is amazing with this property, the way it is the amount of food for the wildlife here. So I imagine, I'm not a biologist, but I imagine that there is entire groups of creatures that use this as a focal point between other spots they're getting to because of the nutrition dense nature of this area. Just the other day, we saw a number of European starlings that I've never seen that quantity of, and more than likely it's here because of the salmon berries, because we've got such a high abundance of it that's easy to get to, that is free from predators that they'd have to normally worry about. It's a beautiful space.
Okay, final questions kind of related to that. What value do you see in this land not being developed in the usual ways of, housing or developments or business? What's the value of keeping the integrity of the land in the way that it's currently being used?
Oh, well,
You've touched upon that already, but just to
delve in. Well, so like my bit of my background is I went to school for herbal medicine in 2009, 2010, and we were taught to pay attention to tiny details within plants and mushrooms and such. And in doing so, we are able to discern between a number of very familiar looking species, yet being able to tell notable differences. Over time, you develop this tendency to look at everything in the natural world this way, where we start to see the micro differences of soil, we start to see the different healthy growth and unhealthy growth patterns of different plants or mushrooms or trees. And what we're seeing here on this land right now, as it is, with this permaculture method being applied, is we're seeing the regrowth of soils. We're seeing the what's the word? The redispersal of a lot of food crops back to the natural world that are already here. So leaving it the way it is without, like I said, building houses and whatnot, but the more the permaculture method, you're going to find that it's going to create more wildlife and sustainable wildlife in this entire area. So it's not just, it's easy to forget that what happens in this property block affects what happens in this neighborhood. And so the more of these kinds of wild spaces that we can keep active and add to in this kind of, like I said, permaculture method, we're actually creating more bioaccumulative effect in a healthy way to our neighborhood and in turn to our general ecosystem. If more people were doing this instead of simply growing lawns, we would see an abundance of the natural world that would be helping us. There's a number of different plant medicines that are here that are not easy to find in this concentration, and yet here they're quite easy to find. And I think that as things keep, as our world becomes more an expensive place to be in, for you to be able to find these plant medicines when you need them in a very healthy, clean ecosystem like this is extremely important.
Great. Okay, thank you for answering these questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Talk to you soon.